blockchain is really important to talk about because of all the misconceptions. People see this blockchain as this global truth, this global cloud that can do everything. And as I like to show, is the blockchain is the most inefficient database in the world. So we can't actually do that much of it. And a lot of the things people want to do today just isn't feasible. So it's our job as educators to sort of say, today, this is sort of what's feasible. And in the future, this is what we're going towards. Maybe someday we'll be able to support your application, but right now it's just not really appropriate for it. So for me, it's to remove misconceptions of the blockchain and really point out why this is useful. It's really hard to predict. I mean, what's been beautiful about it, because I've been looking at this now for 4 years, and if you told me 4 years ago that would be ICOs and people buying, like spending $1,000 on a token, I would have said, no, that's impossible. I mean, it's just a random token, you know, like this token's for some application. So the fact that you can't really predict what the blockchain's being used for. I mean, right now, as main use case is one, trading, and like speculative trading, and two, now ICOs for investing money. There's a bunch of other use cases, but they seem to be the two most popular. So what's the third one? I have no idea at the moment. I think it's still the community. So I think there's some companies who do invest in developers and allow their developers to contribute towards the open source code. I do find that I think Ethereum is a little bit better for that than Bitcoin. So a lot of the Bitcoin developers are still mostly voluntary. There's one or two exceptions, of course, to that. But yeah, I think that more companies should invest in open source development to really get the protocol out there. I think maybe, yes. So I mean, right now we have over 900 currencies. And what's interesting is that they're all like penny stocks. So that's where the trading comes in. I mean, if you have a bunch of blockchains, you can now trade like this, the coins here for this coin and this coin and this coin. So yeah, I think there'll be plenty of blockchains. And there's a lot of research into that already. So there's this concept called sidechains, where you can then transfer Bitcoin. So you can have this private blockchain amongst people who are interested. You can transfer your Bitcoins onto it, do some sort of trading here, and then transfer your Bitcoins back on the Bitcoin. And so I know RSK are going down that direction as well. They'll be the first smart contract enabled sidechain. So I think, yeah, there's going to be lots of sidechains. And what they're going to do, I don't know yet. Yeah, so for that there, I'm not really convinced yet. So I mean, as I said, the blockchain's not very efficient. And for IoT, I'm still not convinced why they need a blockchain. I mean, why does my toaster need to send tokens to my fridge? So there's a lot of hype around there. I've not really seen anything that convinces me that it's very useful yet. But being an academic, I'm open-minded. I mean, if someone comes to me and say, oh, we could do this with IoT and blockchain, and it's a really good idea, then I'll be sold on it. But so far, I've not really seen anything that I find meaningful. So this actually goes back to the very early days. So when I started looking at Bitcoin, it was described as the most anonymous currency possible. That's why you had all these Silk Road and dark markets. And then we found out it's actually the most traceable currency in the world. So that's one of the biggest myths, is that these currencies are anonymous, and they're not. We can trace everything. You have better improvements now. You have like Zcash and somewhat Monero. Like that's much more improved now than it used to be. So we are getting towards that anonymous currency world, but I don't think we're really there yet. But that was like a huge myth 4 or 5 years ago. For blockchain research, so for the past year, I've been looking at cryptographic protocols and smart contracts. So how can we combine real cryptographic protocols and really make use of the blockchain? And what you find is that this blockchain is sort of like a trusted third party who can maintain public state. So if you can design a protocol around that, then you can do really cool things, and that's what I tried to show with the voting example. So now my future is that we've learned that doing these cryptographic protocols is really expensive to do on these blockchains. So how can I make that cheaper? How can we get around and outsource the cost somehow? So that's my future direction.